What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the massive changes that should be coming to the Maple Leafs and why I believe that this is going to happen. Now, if you guys are new here and you love Maple Leafs offseason content, trust me right now, there's going to be a ton. Have you seen how much I've been posting lately? Make sure to like this video and subscribe. It's free. If you don't want to subscribe, that's okay. But make sure to like this video. Subscribing and liking helps, and it's completely free. Yeah, I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. I always say sound off in the comments. I want to hear more from you guys. But man, the Maple Leafs had a big press conference today, and I couldn't get to it as early as I wanted to because I was at work. But basically, we already knew it was going to happen. We knew that they were going to say that we need to win and this and that, and oh, we're going to make change and whatever. I always think I don't believe anything until I see it. And until I see them win, I'm not going to care. But this is a different type of situation. The Maple Leafs have to do something because just firing Sheldon Keefe, which, by the way, again, classy video from Sheldon Keefe saying goodbye. I really do hope the best for him. It looks like the Devils are interested. But they can't just fire Keefe and think the work is done like I did in my last video. Like, oh, now we're done. No, that's not how it works. So Jeff Merrick made a note of a few things, and Elliot Friedman, from Sportsnet, they both were kind of picking apart a few things from the press conference. And one thing that they mentioned is that they believe that, they made a comment saying, don't buy your favorite player's jersey this year because you don't know what's going to happen. So these guys are insiders, so they kind of know. And they kind of made note that they believe that Morgan Rielly, John Tavares, and Mitch Marner are probably the most likely guys if you're going to make a big splash for a trade to happen, because Matthews and Nylander are more than likely untouchable. Matthews is the face of the franchise, and then, of course, William Nylander had a really good season, and he just locked in a pretty long-term deal, and they believe that he's playing to the way that they want him to. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for anybody to get traded. Matthews, I don't think will, but Nylander could potentially be out there as well. I doubt it the way that he played. I think that they're okay with keeping him around. He scores in the playoffs, things like that. But they're basically making it known that Rielly, Tavares, and Marner would probably be your big splash. And these would be the moves that would impact your team the most because it would be a big change. Now, the Morgan Rielly one kind of seems a little bit weird to me. I don't know if this is something that the Maple Leafs would be willing to do. And the reason I'm saying that is because the Maple Leafs need to go out there and get a horse on their back end. They need to get a really good first-line guy, and then I think they need to get another guy that can play second-line minutes or be really good on your third pairing. So if you trade Morgan Rielly, that means you need two horses for that first pairing and an additional guy for that second or third pairing. Now, I just don't think they'll do it. That $7.5 million cap hit, he's got a long time to go on that deal with the no move clause. Unless Morgan Rielly has, said he would like a trade, I can't see why they would end up doing this. I think that they'll keep him, to be completely honest with you. And if you're looking at his numbers, 58 points last year in 72 games. The playoffs didn't treat him so well this year, but look at last year and even the year before. Morgan Rielly has performed in the playoffs virtually every single year. His point totals have always been really good. He puts up numbers. He can score. He puts up points. Like, look at 20 goals in the 18-19 season. Like, he's put up some ridiculous numbers. And to be completely honest with you, that contract that he has isn't exactly that bad. A lot of defensemen now are signing for insane contracts. So the Maple Leafs couldn't score in the playoffs, and that was another thing. There's some quotes that were taken out of context. One, I'm kind of like on the fence about if I like the comment or not, but it was like Trey Living saying that they needed to find different ways to score and they have to play a certain way, and the unsexy way, as he called it. A lot of people are taking that as the Leafs need to get grittier. I don't know if I take it that way. At first, I was kind of thinking that, but the Leafs need to find different ways to score. They need to find different ways to put up points because in the playoffs, they didn't do that. And the Leafs need more puck-moving defensemen on top of the fact that they need guys that are also physical. And Morgan Rielly's not afraid to get physical. I mean, we've seen this guy cross-check a dude in the head. He's been in fights before. He's not afraid to get chippy. I don't think that it makes sense to miss out on a scoring defenseman when the Maple Leafs virtually had none this season besides him. Now, the next guy, and again, just to put a bow on that, I just don't think they'll trade Rielly. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Now, the next guy is John Tavares. Now, again, this is the captain of the Maple Leafs, a guy that chose to come here, and I know people are going to hate that I'm saying this, but he took less money to come here. And if you don't believe that, there's facts out there that show it. Again, it's a lot of money, okay? $11 million is a lot of money. But when he signed that contract, there was teams offering him $13 and $14 million, and one of those teams was the San Jose Sharks. And that money is worth a lot more because of the taxes and everything, whatever. But forget all of that. We knew that this was coming at the end of the contract. We knew that there was going to be problems, that this guy was probably not going to be able to play out the end of his deal at the capacity of when he signed it. But you would be crazy to think that John Tavares hasn't had an impact on this team since he's got here in terms of the scoring. Like, he's got one more year, obviously, on the contract. He's going to be a free agent after next season. But if you can get something for him, and again, 65 points, including 29 goals, 80 points in 80 games last year, almost putting up 40 goals. I mean, he had 8 points in 11 games last year in the playoffs. This year wasn't so hot, but that's a theme for everybody. 76 and 79, 50 and 56, 60 and 63, and that 47 goal season he had to open his career with the Maple Leafs. You know, he's been fantastic. Now, one thing I will say as well, if you look at John Tavares and the way that his contract is structured, most of his contract is already paid out. So the team that would be acquiring him wouldn't be paying that much. The cap hit would stay at $11 million, but the money that the team is actually paying him is like $1 million or something like that, or something really, really low. I think it's like $1 million. So after he signs, or after July 1st, that bonus and all that, the bonus is like $7 million for this season. That goes directly to Johnny T. And then the $910,000 is what the team owes him for that season, for the rest of his contract or whatever. So the Maple Leafs have paid like 99% of this deal pretty much already. So if a team acquired him, the cap hit stays the same, and maybe the Leafs also hold on to some of the contract in terms of the cap hit, and then that team pays out his deal. So Johnny T is still a really good player. The only thing that's going to happen is the Leafs could look at this two ways. They can retain like half of his contract, which is 1 year, so they would be on the hook for like $5.5 million. A team would get a $5.5 million guy for like 60, 65 points, which is pretty damn good, including probably 30 goals. And the Leafs could probably get really decent assets back. And I would be looking at young, controllable defensemen and maybe a young goaltender to come back. Or they just don't retain anything and tell a team, look, give us something that's going to make our roster and give us a pick. And you can just, we're not going to retain any salary. And this is going to be purely a move to retain cap. And for anybody that thinks that NHL GMs don't look at this and say, that money is worth more to me than, getting a player back, the Leafs could take that. Let's say the Leafs just trade out that $11 million with no retention. They can go and do a lot of things with that money. Like, let's just take a look here really quickly, right? Let's say Tavares waives it. And again, I'm going to look you guys dead in the camera because I already know there's somebody commenting this because I forgot to mention it before. He has a no-move clause, and I understand that. He would have to waive it. But if he did and he got traded, just for the sake of this video, I'm putting him on LTIR because that will remove his cap hit. That would give the Leafs $30 million to do things, right? And of course, you have to replace Tavares. But if we're looking at options, if the Leafs think Easton Cowan is ready, you bring up Easton Cowan. If the Leafs believe Fraser Minton is ready, you're bringing up Fraser Minton. Then you can plug and play with really good forwards coming in and pay them. Like, what if they re-sign Bertuzzi and Domi? Boom, now you've got winger spots filled and probably another center spot filled. You've got a lot of options here. I don't think the Leafs are going to hold on to both Kampf and Järnkrok. I think one of them could get traded. I think Reeves ends up in the minors. There's a lot of options here. So the Maple Leafs would have a ton of money to play with if they end up getting rid of Tavares. It's entirely possible, but it's not a guarantee. The most intriguing name out of the three guys specifically is obviously Mitch Marner. And I'm not sitting here blaming Mitch on everything, blaming Mitch for everything, I should say, because I think that that's ridiculous and unfair. I think Mitch Marner is a fantastic hockey player. I think that he makes any team that he's on better. He can do a lot of different things. But I think that this guy needs to waive his own no move clause, because I think that this is just not working. And I'm not sure if the Leafs would want to retain his services after he's done. The Leafs can't lose this guy for free, though. So that $10.9 million, and again, see this, how there was no move clause last season? Brendan Shanahan vetoed a trade because the Leafs were ready to make a big move, and Mitch Marner was probably being discussed because he didn't have a no-trade clause. Now he does. So Brendan Shanahan didn't want him traded last year. Now he's got, the year before because of Dubas, not this season, the year before, and they didn't do it. Now, if we're looking at his numbers, like, how do you deny that this guy's not absolutely amazing? Teams are going to be giving up a lot for this player. And I know some people are like, oh, they won't get anything for him. The Leafs are not giving up an 100-point player last season for absolutely nothing. And you can see last year in the playoffs, he was really good, 14-11. Even the year before that, over a point per game. But this season, it just wasn't good enough. And there's no more excuses for this. The Leafs can't have Mitch Marner putting up 3 points in 7 games when if Marner had one amazing game, the Leafs would have won the series. So it's those things that people seem to forget. The Leafs needed one good goaltending performance and one stellar performance from a forward, and they would have won the series with ease. And I know people are going to say, oh, that's stupid. If, let's say, Samsonov steals one of the first 2 games, they win the game. What happens if Morgan Rielly or Tavares or Nylander or Matthews or whoever was in the game, or Marner, let's say Marner puts up a hat trick? That decides one of the games. There were 1-goal games and an overtime game 7. And of course, in overtime, Mitch lost his assignment. He lost Pasternak. Him and Rielly both goofed up, and they lost. So obviously, trading Mitch would give the Leafs flexibility as well, because if Marner and Tavares are both traded, you're giving yourself almost $40 million in cap space. And that's significant because you can significantly upgrade everywhere. You can try to get a goalie in a Tavares or Marner trade, probably a Marner trade. You can try to get a young forward or a young defenseman in a Tavares trade. And then you move on from there and you spend money in free agency on guys that make this team better. Probably Bertuzzi, probably Domi, and I'm going to make a video on it, many videos. This is just the beginning of the offseason. But they can make big changes. Now, if they trade Tavares, I'm actually wondering if they keep Marner around because you have money to play with, but I don't know if they can. So I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I would love to have you guys here. There's a lot coming on this channel, and there's a lot of movement that could come. We're going to be talking about this all summer. So like I said, subscribe or like if you just want to promote me, like the video. Sound off in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.